And good morning, Newton Falls. Hello, I'm Dave Lynch. I'm the city manager here in Newton Falls, Ohio. This is our morning briefing, something we've been doing since the onset, really, of the coronavirus era. Our way of staying in touch with the local community of Newton Falls, interviewing businesses and individuals, ministers, government officials, as to how they are dealing with the new coronavirus era. We've been doing these on a daily basis, but tomorrow, Saturday, will be our last daily broadcast because beginning next week, we'll do morning briefings that are only on Tuesday and Friday mornings, but always at 7:30 and usually only about 15 minutes long or so, give or take a few minutes. So we appreciate all that have been tuning in, and we will try to give you as much accurate and informative information as we can. The economy is beginning to open up even more. We're, of course, disappointed that a number of iconic Newton Falls activities, mostly the July 4th things, have been washed off of our schedule. But when the fall comes along, we get into winter, we'll begin, hopefully, to get into a more regular mode of operations, hopefully in the context of the coronavirus not making a comeback. We are not out of the woods yet, but pay attention to the governor's pressers and also to what's coming out of our federal government in Washington. Well, this morning, I'm especially excited because we've been talking about people that are business operators, entrepreneurs, operating in Newton Falls during the COVID-19 situation. Today, I'm reporting to and talking to someone who just signed a lease to bring a brand new business into our downtown commercial district. His name is Shannon Benson. He's on the live line right now. Good morning, Shannon. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Great. Hey, welcome to Newton Falls, Ohio.
Thank you very much.
We're excited about your business. And Shannon, I understand it's kind of a comic book sales and distribution sort of business. Can you tell us about this exciting business coming to downtown Newton Falls?
Yeah, so I basically have a store in Virginia Beach, but I grew up in Windham. My dad lives there in Windham, and my niece lives in Manaway, and my nephew lives there in Newton Falls as well. So I'm bringing up about 200 long boxes of comics. The age ranges between anywhere from 12-cent comics all the way up to current.
Yes.
I've got about 3,000 posters, 500 pops. I'm trying to do a little bit of variety of everything. I'm not going to do current orders until I see how the flow is.
Sure.
Plus, the spot I've got is a little small, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, you know, I am a 12-cent era DC comic guy, and you're really singing the music that I want to hear when you talk about carrying those great publications where the artwork was so fantastic. But I understand that there's a true confession that has to come forward from this interview because you're a Marvel Comics kind of a guy, right?
Oh, yeah. Grew up a Wolverine fan. I actually fell out of it for about 20 years, but about, 3 years ago, I got a estate lot, 39 boxes, and that kind of hit the little boy in me again to start doing this stuff again.
Yeah. All right. So you've got this neat shop coming to downtown Newton Falls. What is going to be the name of this business?
Benson's BS and Collectibles.
Benson's BS and Collectibles. And you'll have posters, these comic books, and so forth. And where are you going to be located in Newton Falls?
25th South Broad Street. It's only a couple places down from the Faces that you guys have there in town.
Right. And in fact, I think it's right next to Chic Hairstyling. So Tom is showing that little red brick location shift over there again where there's a lady and little girl looking at the store window and thinking, what is going to be coming here? And it's going to be Benson's BS and Collectibles. That's great. Coming to Newton Falls, we love having something unique in downtown Newton Falls, especially. Was it just the fact that you had family here and had grown up in Windham? What was the driving force to have you consider Newton Falls as your new additional home?
So I joined the military, started at high school, and it's time to come home. My father's a little older. My nieces are having kids, so I just want to be around family. And I wanted to be local, where it's either Windham, Newton Falls, Manaway, somewhere in there. And
Sure.
this place opened up and it just seemed like the perfect spot.
Yeah, well, it is the perfect spot, and I want to make sure people are patronizing this great store. When do you anticipate opening up this new location?
I'll probably be doing a soft open beginning of July, probably July 4th weekend,
Uh-huh.
with a grand opening a week or two after that. So basically, if the door's open and you see us in there, you can stop in. Because even if I'm setting up, I'll sell it if you see it.
Yeah, a very smart businessman. The other thing I want to ask you about is opening up here in Newton Falls somewhere around the beginning of July, um, and having a local location for yourself. What happens to the Virginia Beach location? Are you going to be physically here operating? Or are you going to try to split yourself between both locations?
No, I'm closing that location down. My buddy, he lost his father, so he can't run it like we were originally planned.
Yeah.
So it will be shutting down, and all that stuff. He's either going to get donated or come with me.
Okay. Well, obviously, we're sorry to hear about that when it relates to the person you're working with, and we want to see success everywhere. But wow, exciting for us because you're putting all your energies now into this location, and it's going to be called Benson's BS and Collectibles, posters. I presume some memorabilia of other sorts as well. Is that a fair statement, Shannon?
Oh, very much. I'm trying. I've got probably about another 75 to 150 old figures from the 80s and 90s, as well as some stuff from the 70s and 80s. My goal is to keep the shop circulating product and have something new at all times.
Yeah.
So my niece is going to run it, and I'm going to travel the country finding more stuff to put in there as I sell stuff.
That's great. Well, you may have to track down a couple 25-cent annuals that I've been looking for years. You think you can go on that mission?
Without a doubt.
Well, we are just so delighted. Please know that the city manager's office is wanting to serve as your assistant in making sure that the entire opening is fantastic and that you are profitable and successful. And in addition to that, one thing that I have noticed that when comic book stores open, frequently people show up in costume of one superhero or another. Is that the sort of thing you might welcome?
It is. I'm also going to have it's a small store, but I'm going to have a spot on my wall where I want to get local artists in there as well. So basically what I'll do is I'll have someone do a local artist comics streak. They have to be from Northeast Ohio or PA. And I'll hang it on my wall for 30 or 60 days and sell it for them consignment. So I want to try to support the local community as well.
All right. Well, listen, on behalf of the city of Newton Falls, we extend to you a collective attaboy. We are so excited that you're coming. Remember, reach out to us. We want you to succeed in this warm, friendly, very welcomable downtown Newton Falls environment. So, Shannon, have a great day. Peace and good health to your family, and we're looking forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the time.
All right, Shannon Benson. Wow, what another piece of excitement coming to Newton Falls. You know, given all the difficulty we've had during the COVID-19 and challenges that we faced, we still have been able to cultivate some positive developments, and that is one of them. Well, we're really switching gears now. We're going to be talking to Van Nelson, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about what's going on in our country. Hey, Van.
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Great, great. We have on the live line Van Nelson, and he is affiliated with the Eastside Church of Christ, which is located in Warren, Ohio, and he wears an awful lot of hats. But the hat I wanted him to wear this morning was to interface with us here in Newton Falls and our community in general in the region about what's been happening in all the major cities in America, really the strife that we've been undergoing as relates to the horrible murder of George Floyd. Give us kind of your global view of what's going on now. Van, how should we process what we're seeing on our television sets each night?
It's a difficult thing. Something that we haven't seen for many, many years on this level. I remember the riots in the Watts area for similar reasons. But this thing is very difficult to process. And I want everybody to know that it wasn't precipitated by just the death of one person, but it was a culmination of many deaths that were senselessly taken, needlessly taken, lives that were gone too soon, lives that were taken, not given.
Yeah. Hey, Van, do me a favor. Put your mouth a little bit closer to the vicinity of the mouthpiece because it's a little bit fuzzy if you can.
Okay, is this better?
That is better. Okay. So you're saying this is the culmination of a lot of events that have taken place over time. Well, you know, Van, I remember the strife in our country when the Rodney King verdict came out. Do you remember that?
Oh, absolutely. 1991.
Yeah. What's now? You say it's a culmination of these things. How do we strike a balance, Van? Because nobody wants to see a small barbershop operated by a single entrepreneur who's African American trying to invest in his community lose his investment. So how do we balance these tensions?
I don't know, but I know that we got to talk. And when we sit down and talk, we can't stop talking. We can't sit down and have a 1 hour conversation and think we've solved it. Too many times we sat around round tables, Dave, and we thought that we solved the world's problems at one meeting or one sit down conference. We got to keep talking. We got to get through to each other. We have to understand each other. Black has to understand white. White has to understand black. Black has to understand Hispanic, and it goes down the cycle. I haven't seen where we have continued dialogue that we've begun, as successful as some of those dialogues have begun. We get satisfied too quickly, and we drop the ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is.
Van, let me throw out a little bit of a challenging question to some extent, a challenge for all of us. Martin Luther King preached the concept of bringing about a change through nonviolent protest. In fact, he especially emphasized the non-violent aspect of it, and yet there are some elements of these protests that were certainly violent. I imagine Dr. King would be disturbed by that. Do you think that's a fair statement?
It is a fair statement, and it's also fair because George Floyd's brother aired the same sentiment. Dr. King preached, walked the walk, he talked the talk, but even around him, there were violent things taking place as much as he tried to preach it down. His approach was still the best to me. I do not believe that looting has to be synonymous with protest. I don't believe destruction has to be synonymous with protest. But there are those out there who systemically and systematically want to stoke the fires of dissension and promoting violence and unrest and destruction. I believe that the peacemakers, the people who want to be peaceful, outweigh those violent seekers, but the violent seekers seem to prevail. There are those who are out there, and it's not a majority, who seek to take advantage of situations like protests just for personal gain.
Yeah. Throughout our country, churches are finally, Van, having a chance to reconvene. You know, they've been sheltered in, and most churches haven't even had services. Maybe a few have been using sort of a videography style of church service, but now they're coming back together. Here in Newton Falls, the Church of God, where we had the inauguration ceremony for our mayor, which, by the way, was made so wonderful by your direction of your church choir, but they were really wonderful. But the churches are coming together, and amidst all of this strife, if you were to be standing at the pulpit, what words of consolation would you be able to give a congregation right now, considering all the strife we're going through?
I would ask everybody to focus on on Christ and Christ's mission. Uh, One for all for one, and heaven is still our goal. We forget that. And to get there, we have to love each other as ourselves. And people forget that. And to love one another, you got to understand each other. I didn't say you have to like everybody all the time. That's difficult. But we got to love.
Yeah.
We do have to love. My own church, Dave, we're doing the drive-up type service.
Yes.
And it's a different feel for me. I'm used to touching and hugging and
Yes.
and being up close and personal. And I'm getting used to this drive-up service, but I miss congregating. But I understand why. I miss political unrest. Amidst racial division and this crazy pandemic thing we got going on.
Yeah.
We got to come together. We got to come together
Yeah. Well,
and stay together.
Christ told us that we would all eventually have crosses that we have to bear, and certainly in the United States of America, there's a very heavy cross borne on the backs of those that feel that they've been the target of racial abuse, police officers that feel they're bearing the cross of unfair classification of hardworking law enforcement officers getting their reputation sullied by a few bad apples. But Christ still did, he wanted to preach to the multitudes and bring us all together in brotherhood, didn't he? Are you with us, Van?
I love what you're saying right there. What scares me, Dave, I gotta teach my grandsons, and they're 14 and 11. I gotta teach them how to stay alive, how to be submissive and compliant and cooperative, so that they come home alive when they leave the house.
Well, and that's the difference. It's easy for someone to tell somebody else how they should behave, but until you walk in somebody else's shoes, it's very difficult to relate. When you talk about teaching your grandsons what they have to do to make sure they're alive from day to day, that's a different world experience for your family, isn't it?
It is, and it's one that I shouldn't have to endure, but let's face it, I'm not far from it. I can walk into a fast food restaurant at the same time as you, ahead of you, and you'll get served first. I've seen it happen.
Well,
it's those little things, those subtle things that you wonder. And I used to raise sand every time at those things. When I got older, turned 60 plus years old, and I don't fight as much as I used to. And it's time for these young people to do what they're doing the way they're doing it without the violence.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand material things pale in comparison to the value of human lives that were taken.
Sure. Well, Van,
I'm not condoning the destruction and the violence.
No.
I'm not. But I want people to understand that too.
Well, we've changed an awful lot of laws in the last 100 years, but maybe we haven't changed enough hearts.
Wow. Can I write that down?
Yeah. Van, this is your interview. Listen, thank you so much for coming on and putting things in perspective. We love you, brother, and hope that we can have you interface with Newton Falls again. You've always been very special to us and brought a special perspective to us. And I know I speak on behalf of the mayor and the city council in appreciation for, again, the very special sense of spirituality you brought to that inauguration ceremony back in January. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. You keep doing what you're doing. I keep up with you even when you don't think I'm keeping up with you. Be blessed.
All right, be blessed and good health to your family, Van. All right, that was Van Nelson from the East Side Church of Christ over in Warren, Ohio. And we did have some strife over in Youngstown. There were rumors of some civil unrest in Warren, which really never materialized in a significant way. Certainly Cleveland, a little bit as we fan out throughout Northeast Ohio, demonstrated that there were some difficult issues. Things seem to have been calmed down in most of the major American cities, but there are still problems and still issues. And as long as there is evil and sin in the world, I think that some of the worst aspects of human nature will worm their way into the human heart and then manifest itself in ways that all of us have to condemn. Condemning what happened in the murder of George Floyd and condemning the violence and the looting and the destruction of property and the horrible strife that's going on in terms of people not feeling safe during these protests. I almost don't like to use the word protest for those folks that are destroying property. There was a police officer in St. Louis, and his last name was Dorn, and he was shot and killed during these events. An African-American police officer who was dedicated to upholding the law and the values that almost all of us universally embrace. Terrible. However, one of the things that Van said was, let's make sure we get connected with our Creator, and let's make sure that we communicate with one another. Always have the lines of communication wide open, and let's not be afraid to have that communication either. Let's not just wait until we have these terrible events that cause conflagration throughout our communities. Well, enough of being on a soapbox. Thanks everybody for tuning in again. We'll have a morning briefing tomorrow morning, Saturday, and then the next one after that won't be until Tuesday. We'll do them Tuesdays and Friday mornings, as indicated before. Please stay close to our Father up in heaven as I conclude all of these broadcasts. I do again this morning. God bless America, and God bless the city of Newton Falls.